Second Lieutenant, you were on your armor.
That's right. Oh my God, we were waiting. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's a shot.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I ask you to take your seats, please. And just to begin our ceremonies, I would ask the Ambassador of Ukraine to step forward. He has a short presentation to make.
Дякую, пане президенте. Дорога громада, Honorable Minister Sajjan, Boris has kindly invited me to make a very sweet and short ceremonial thing in your presence and before you speak. And now I understand why, because when you recently hosted the visit of the Ukrainian Defense Minister, Poltorak, I remember that both you and him spoke so highly of the Ukrainian Canadian community in this country. And we still have one unfinished business from that visit, and it's about one extraordinary individual from the Ukrainian Canadian community. So I would invite Colonel Viktor Soromacha, the Ukrainian military attaché, to join us. And in his hands you can see a very special award from the Ukrainian Minister of Defense, from Minister Poltorak. And it's meant to be given to a very special person whose name is well known to everyone in this room, and his name is Yaroslav Baran.
Oh, you're joking.
So I know that so many people in this room will deserve the highest words about what you have been doing to help Ukraine. And I know that in a minute, Minister Sajjan will tell about this wonderful partnership which we have been building between men and women in the uniforms, men and women from Canada and Ukraine. If we think about the Operation Unifier, about the defense cooperation arrangement, about the upcoming Invictus Games, I think many wonderful things are going to happen between us, and it's really a sign of this very new partnership, brotherhood in arms between our men and women. It's efficient, it's strong, it's mature, it's something extraordinary. But we know that this would not probably happen without extraordinary support from the Ukrainian Canadian community. So I would like to give this award on behalf of the Ukrainian government and on behalf of the Ukrainian Minister of Defense to Yaroslav. We all know how much he has contributed into what we talk about today. When Yaroslav, please be aware that this is well known not just here in Ottawa, it's well known across Canada, and I know it's well known in Ukraine. So I would like to thank you, and I would like to thank everyone in this room for what you have been doing to help Ukraine in this very difficult time. Thank you so much. You have been doing.
No, thank you very much.
Can we have each go together?
You get
Minister, it's a very special moment because we have the outgoing and incoming president of UCC Ottawa in one place.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have both the duty and the pleasure of introducing our Minister of Defense. I think his history is quite well known, but like any good Ukrainian, I'm going to stand up here and repeat it to all of you. Minister Sajjan, like some of us, and like most of our parents, is actually an immigrant to Canada from India. His father had been a chief constable in the police service in the Punjab, came to Canada, and I would suppose because of his family history, was interested in a career in the Canadian Police Service. He joined the Vancouver Police. And in the Vancouver Police, he earned a sterling reputation as both a constable and a member of, I believe it was the gangs unit in the Vancouver Police. But at the same time, he joined the militia, or the Army Reserve, the British Columbia Regiment in Vancouver. And as a member of that regiment, he served in Bosnia in the early 1990s, went back to his civilian career as a police constable. Then, in the early 2000s, he became the first Canadian Sikh commanding officer of a Canadian regiment, his home regiment, the British Columbia Regiment. From there, he served in Afghanistan. And that's where he first became widely known. Because in Afghanistan, he was the G2, or the Chief Intelligence Officer, I believe, for Area South. There, he reorganized the collection of intelligence around the idea of actionable information. In other words, it's not just enough to gather facts on little file cards or in computers. You have to organize it in such a way, and you have to gather it in such a way that it's immediately useful to the operators or the fighting units. He did this so successfully that his system of intelligence gathering became the basis for Operation Medusa. And as the General Officer Commanding, Brigadier General Fraser, said, his work was nothing short of brilliant and led to the eventual success of that operation. In 2015, he left the rather puzzling and Disneylandish world of national defense and leaped into another Disneyland, politics, becoming the Member of Parliament for Vancouver South and very quickly the Minister of National Defense. As Minister of National Defense, he was part of a triumvirate that included the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and we all know her, himself, and the Minister that dealt with foreign aid. They revised Canadian foreign and defense policy and aid policy into a single, well-connected system. A system that is now planned to be well-funded, expensively, but well-funded for the next 20 years. And based on something that in Canadian politics has been around since the 1940s, the fact that Canada depends on the North Atlantic nexus for its success, economic, social, and political. Now, this North Atlantic nexus, NATO, and including the EU and other organizations, is key to the survival of Canada. The one element in this policy, which was one might consider common sense from our point of view, is that Ukraine, on the far eastern flank of this North Atlantic nexus, is key to the security of the rest of Europe, and therefore to the security and welfare of Canada as a whole. Now, this might seem like common sense to everybody here in this community, but in politics and in the military, that's not always well understood. Minister Sajjan takes his idea of common sense, and we know exactly where it comes from. In 1993, Second Lieutenant Sajjan attended the armor qualifying course to become a troop leader in Wainwright, Alberta. Like all of us, he would go into the officers' mess bar. And on top of that bar, over the bar, was a sign that said, "There is nothing so uncommon as common sense." So, I would now turn the microphone over to Minister Sajjan to give us a good dollop of his common sense. Thank you.
My wife may disagree with that whole common sense piece of it, but ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for giving me this privilege to come to talk with all of you. I really appreciate the kind introduction. Like any work that I did, I know there's a lot of, obviously in the last month or so, talk about Medusa. I'm very proud of the service that I did. Unfortunately, in politics, there's a lot more interesting scrutiny that goes around, and I use my policing experience that had the impact for us on the ground. And for one reason, all of us who have served, our job is to, when you feel that your skills are needed, offer it up, volunteer, right? And that's what we do, and that's what I had the opportunity to do, and I was just very proud to wear the uniform. This corporal who's wearing it right now, to be able to serve alongside with some phenomenal, extraordinary Canadians and have an impact in this world that every single one of you are proud of, because their story has not been told fully yet, and one day it will be. And every Canadian and people around the world would be so thrilled to hear, because it's a story of tenacity, it's a story of common sense, It's a story of showing action and getting things done. And that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. I think all of you know me and knows the Prime Minister, our steadfast support for Ukraine. And this is, there's a lot of diplomacy that has to be done in words, but you also need to be able to show it in action as well. It's only through action sometimes other nations are actually going to take your words seriously. So you need to back it up with actions. That's one of the things that our Prime Minister and our government believes in. Obviously, we have full all party support for what we're doing in Ukraine, but that's not enough, right? That's the work there, but we need to be able to look at everything else. So our work with NATO is absolutely crucial. Hence the reason why, even before the defense policy was complete, we took that leadership role in NATO as well by becoming one of the leading framework nations to take a leadership role in Latvia. All for one reason, to send a message to Russia that the illegal annexation of Crimea, what they're doing in the Donbass area in Georgia, is completely unacceptable, and we're not going to take it. And this is one of the reasons why Canada wanted to step up and take this leadership role. So we have now about 450 Canadians who are leading a multinational battle group in Latvia. I was just in Latvia at their ceremony with the Secretary General of NATO, the President of Latvia, and the Minister of Defense from Latvia. And the reason why am I mentioning this is because don't just look at what we're trying to do in the Ukraine for support. That's the direct support, and we will always be there, and we'll continue to evolve with our relationship. And I was actually just talking to Minister Freeland just today. There's a few other things now. The next steps after the Defense Cooperation Agreement, what do we need to do to further that relationship? And it's actually her responsibility now for the next steps of that relationship. We're going to work together towards that. But we can't stop there. We have to look at making sure that Russia gets this message. So that's one of the reasons why I can't stress enough, like, our leadership in NATO is a very big deal. We haven't done this in a very long time, and we have the most diverse battle group that we're commanding, and it is sending a message to Russia. We have air policing that's going into, it's actually just finished in Iceland. We'll be going to Romania as well. We have a frigate there as well. And everything that we're trying to do is to back our words up with action. And that's the only message that Russia is going to understand, is to bring it back to dialogue so we can actually start de-escalating. And that's the ultimate goal, to making sure that the people of Ukraine can get back to their lives, their choice of what they want to do, and not allow another nation to be able to become a bully and to do what they're doing. So that's one of the reasons why, what we're doing. But I just want to go back to the relationship. This is not just about our relationship now of our men and women in uniform, with His Excellency providing some great words. Our relationship was built even much before, and it's built with the community. When the people from Ukraine settled here in Canada, that's when the relationship started, and a relationship fosters. And as Ukrainian Canadians, you have a direct concern for countries, like other people have direct concerns. And it's our responsibility to making sure that we as a government not only demonstrate our actions against aggression, but at the same time also be able to communicate directly back with you, to demonstrate and explain to you, to give you confidence of what we're doing, and also answer your questions as well. So we look forward to continue that work. You know how strong and powerful Minister Freeland is, and I'm just so blessed to be able to work with such a powerful person with so much energy, and we complement each other in such great ways. And we're going to bring up new approaches, and I can't tell you about all the conversations that we have for various reasons, but I can assure you, she is. I'll share one with you. We had a dinner with Secretary Tillerson, Secretary Mattis, myself, and Mr. Freeland. So, doing a whole of government approach. Instead of just us meeting directly, we're kind of talking things together. And Secretary Tillerson, I can't tell you exactly what was said, but during a meeting with the foreign minister from Russia, all I got was when Secretary Tillerson turned to Minister Freeland and said, "Wow, you really put him in his place, right?" And but that's how strong she is, right? But point being is, we are invested in this as Canadians, all this together. We might be government representatives, but we're also Canadians, and we're in this together. And we look forward to making sure that we continue that support. But this support that we're providing, I also know as Minister of National Defence, we need to sustain it. And the only way to sustain it is making sure that Canadian Armed Forces are actually well-resourced. And that's what the new defence policy does now. This is making sure that the Canadian Armed Forces, that, to be very frank, it was hollow. This is actually going to provide a new investment in Canadian Armed Forces so that we'll be able to have a force that is capable of sustaining itself for all these operations of what we're asking our men and women to do. This defense policy with over $62 billion over the next 20 years in new investment. Within the 10 years, we're going to have a over 70% increase. And with all this dollars that you hear about, with all the planes that you hear that we're buying or ships, think about one thing. All these capabilities, all these dollars are all going to our #1 capability, and that's our men and women in uniform who are actually there to do this great work. And they're doing phenomenal work in Ukraine, and I look forward to going back and visiting them to see the progress that they're making. Actually, he's a good friend of mine who's actually the commanding officer there in Ukraine, and I got to serve with him. Mark Lubinecki is his name, CEO of the Stratconas, and I know he's doing wonderful work. So on that note, I just wanted to be able to give you the confidence directly that you have now Canada's defence policy that will be able to sustain our Canadian Armed Forces commitment and with engagement in the world to making sure that Canada plays a credible role in sending a very strong message to the Russian aggression, and also trying to bring peace and stability in other parts of the world as well. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
If you would indulge me in kicking the conversation off with a couple of questions. First of all, congratulations on a once-in-a-generation defense policy review. I think it was overdue. I also think it's fair to say it was very well received. And according to all the accolades you've been receiving, I think you'll allow us to echo the congratulations you've been receiving from most quarters. You mentioned Latvia, and this is a very timely discussion. This week we saw the deployment to Latvia, and this is a significant event. It's a significant moment, and a significant deployment for Canada. Now, I'll ask you a question. I had a very similar conversation today, actually, with General Kralve from Latvia. The Latvians, of course, are over the moon with the presence of NATO boots on the ground, and their view is that this will be a very real deterrent for them who share a border with an aggressor. Although he himself mentioned that this is only one front, that what started as little green men 3 years ago has evolved, and those little green men don't necessarily carry Kalashnikovs anymore. They are re-emerging through blogs, through an info war, through cyber attacks, through attempts to manipulate elections in, name your country, France, Italy, Austria, United States, the list goes on. That is the new front. So in one sense, yes, it's a remarkable deployment, but we're fighting the battle 3 years ago. Not to say it's not necessary. What needs to be done in your view for Canada, for NATO, elsewhere, to catch up to the new fronts, the modern fronts, where the little green men are now emerging in different formats?
So, actually, one bit, you make an excellent point here is we want to be fighting the last war, right? We need to be focused on the new challenges that we have. So we took this into account. We actually had, in the Canadian Armed Forces, tremendous experience of understanding some of these challenges. What you see in cyber is just a new tool. We were seeing some of these things of misinformation, creating strife between communities, in other smaller forms, especially in Afghanistan. We saw a little bit in Bosnia. So we knew that we needed to change. We needed to change our ways of how we manage things. So, for example, we know that cyber is important. How do we look at these things? So in Latvia, there's actually a center of excellence that's looking at a cyber center that's looking at these things. But what are we doing in the Canadian Armed Forces? So one is with the defense policy review that we conducted. Now we have Canadian Armed Forces has the authorities to do more. We're creating a cyber force. We already have some cyber capabilities. And also, with, as Minister of National Defense, I'm also responsible for the Communications Security Establishment, which is another premier security agency that we have. And we have our cyber expertise in there. And so with them, now with the new security regulation, which gets the right, making sure that Canadians' privacy is protected, but also keeping evolving with the new threats, so we can actually use our tremendous talent and our capabilities. So now the CSE will actually have the ability to assist the Canadian Armed Forces with dealing with these type of issues.
And that's the bill that was tabled yesterday.
Exactly. So this also gives additional authorities for that. But keep in mind, all these things are tools. It takes people to be able to execute it. I'm very proud to say that in the Canadian Armed Forces and within CSE, we have the unique people to be able to understand those type of issues. Because there's one thing of seeing it, what do you do with it? And that's now the key. So we focus, first of all, is all our members, making sure that they fully understood what the challenges were within this space. We also now working with Minister Gold about the democratic institution. And guess what? All of you are part of this. Because when you see something that's fake or in the fake news or you see blogs that are coming out, or especially in social media, it's up to you when you say, no, this is wrong, right? Because how the system works is, all it takes is somebody to create misinformation, right? Push it out there. And here's the interesting thing about social media. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. People believe it. It depends on who shares it. If somebody is seen, somebody shares it, and it's a friend, of course you're going to believe it, right? So it's important for us to be able to scrutinize this stuff, and then on social media, making sure that we push back, saying, no, that's not the case. Create that doubt. And so you need to be part of that. Our media needs to be part of that, so that they need to do their fact checking before they push this stuff. So we're starting those conversations. We've given the tools to the Canadian Armed Forces members. They're well trained to deal with some of these things. But now we have even greater work to do, which we didn't think we needed to do before, where we're literally our communities and even our media need to be part of the solution, because no media wants to be given